Computer. All right, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I am so excited to be here this morning with Michelle Bomba. She's Integrated Presidential Director in Optavia, and her husband have grown an incredible business. I've seen Michelle go from senior coach all the way to IPD, and it's been such a crazy journey to watch. And I'm just really excited that she has decided to, she's honored us with some of her time this morning to basically just kind of hear how she's really shifted the mindset of her organization. And it's crazy to see where she's at today, because I asked her recently, I'm like, how are you popping Fibics and EDs left and right? What's going on? And she said, Priscilla, our entire organization had a mindset shift. And I told her, well, girl, we need to talk, because we need to know how that's going to happen in our organization. So Michelle, thank you so much for just spending some time with us. And I have a few questions for you, just so that people can kind of hear, who you are. For those that don't know you, there's a lot of new coaches on this call. So I want you to share with us why you started coaching. Like, that's my first question to you. Why did you decide that this was going to be something, a vehicle you were going to take and run with it? And what's happened to you so far?
Well, it's funny because actually, like, Josh and I have completely different stories when it comes to this, but like everyone else, you obviously start the program, you lose the weight, you see like the beauty behind it, and then you know that you have something like that you have to share with people. And that's kind of where we were at. It was literally a week into our plan. Josh actually already knew he was going to coach, like, before starting the program. And me, I was like, no, I'm good. I just want to lose the weight. But here we are already like 7 days in. Within that week alone, I already sent 2 people over to Justin. And it was just sharing my story. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I feel great. And then they signed up with him. And so I remember our 1 week celebration call with Justin and Jamil. They were talking about coaching, and Josh was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm just like, I'm here like shaking as I'm giving my credit card info to Justin to buy our coaching kit, because I just didn't know like for sure how this was going to work for us. But I thought, okay, well, let's just try it. We know this is amazing. People are already asking. Let's just see what happens. And to be honest, it wasn't until I believe a week later we went to convention that I was like sold. And I was sold on the mission, on the idea of what it could possibly do. So definitely that's why we're so passionate about events, because that's when I really saw like the vision of everything. But really just started coaching because we knew like a weekend we were down 6 pounds and 14 pounds and we felt amazing. So it's like, why wouldn't we want to share that with other people?
Wow, that's awesome. And so when you became a coach, what were some of the concepts and fears that you had to overcome? Because I know that when we become coaches in the beginning, there's so many concepts that people have. What were some of those concepts and fears that you felt you had to overcome?
The number one thing was, I don't know anyone that wants to do this. That was like the biggest one. And I say that a lot on trainings because it's true. Like, I literally came in, I'm like, well, I don't know anyone that's going to want to do this, or I don't know anyone. That was my biggest concept. That's honestly, I would say, probably really it. It was just, I didn't feel like I knew anyone. Other than that, like, I didn't have any other concepts when it came to like selling people or anything like that. I just really did not think I knew anyone that wanted to do this. And it wasn't until actually, I'd say, once we became a coach, we didn't post our before and after picture for an entire month after. So we sat at like maybe senior coach, we were helping a few people. And then once we did our like Facebook launch, that is when it just exploded. And that's when I realized, like, okay, well, I guess I do know people that want to do this.
That is awesome. So if you could go back to when you were senior coach or when you were a brand new coach, is there anything you would do differently? Would you change something, or would you tell that, senior coach Michelle Bomba, or that manager or associate director Michelle Bomba, something different today? Or do you feel like everything was done properly?
Honestly, no, because I feel like some of those tribulations of what you go through what makes you who you are today. So it's like we've gone through a lot in our coaching journey. Like, it wasn't always pretty. It was quite messy at times, but I wouldn't change that, because I know that honestly is what got us to where we are. Having to fix those messes, or having to clean up the mess, and I think all of those things, I feel like, really got us to where we are because we learned, and it forced us to grow.
Yes.
So I would definitely not change anything. I mean, things happen for a reason. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be the best. Or it's going to be messy, but it's going to really help you grow to who you are today.
Right, right. And when did you realize that this could be a potentially serious business? Like, when were you just like, okay, oh snap, this isn't just any little coaching thing? Did you know that in the beginning, or was it when you received a first paycheck? How did that turn out into a full-time thing?
Probably the end of August, which was like end of our second month when we got like a $5,000 paycheck. That's when we were like, okay, this is actually a lot bigger than what we thought it was. And it was because we went from, our first week of senior coach to, 16,000 frontline, 17,000 frontline with a new coach who became an ED. And that was honestly like that. When we saw that, we were like, okay, like this is something that could be so much more.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I remember you guys. I was like, every time I blinked my eye, you guys had like a new rank. I'm like, what in the world?
It's funny you say that. Actually, not that long ago, I was going through all of that in like 0 to 5, and I was like, man, like, and I saw it was really like every week and a half. And at that time, I didn't think it was anything. I was like, oh, okay. But it's like it's funny how you look back now, and it's like if you see that now as a coach, you're like, dang, that person's like on fire. For us, we're like, oh, like we hit a rank, okay. It was just we were just constantly signing people up.
Wow, that's amazing. So, what are some suggestions you would have for coaches wanting to grow their business?
Well, number one, always obviously what we do is we share our story, and it's really sharing it with to anyone and that will listen and those that will not listen.
Mm.
That's going to be the biggest thing. But I think also, sharing the full trilogy. I think that honestly, sharing that early on into our coaching business, I think really is what helped. Was because that's the one thing that I feel so many coaches are afraid to share is the coaching opportunity. We just think, oh, well, we're going to share this program because this is what I know. Obviously, I'm losing weight, but we look at that point, we look at it as a weight loss plan, not a full offering. And so sharing that early on, I feel like that is going to really make the change in everyone's business when it comes to bringing on coaches and really building a team. You can only go so far helping clients. You can only go to ED. I mean, you can you can have a pretty incredible income just helping clients, but there's no time freedom behind that. And that's ultimately what you're trying to build is you're trying to build a life of time where you have that time to, do the things that matter most to you. And with that, it doesn't come with just clients. It comes with honestly really building an organization.
Hmm. I like that you said that because when I became a brand new coach, I saw this through weight loss like glasses. It's like, and a lot of new coaches, when I talk to them, they're like, well, I don't know that many overweight people, or I don't know that many people that need this. No, everybody needs this. If we can just see the program that way and probably have our entire organization see the program that way, it would probably affect so many lives, because it's not, like you said, it's not a weight loss program. It really is a lifestyle program, and it can really serve and benefit everybody. So I saw Priscilla Nelson ask a question in the chat, and she said, what would you say to coaches who want this but have had a slow start?
I would say there's no such thing as just a slow start. I mean, some coaches are runners in the beginning, but it doesn't mean anything like you can't grow a big business having a slow start. We actually had a coach who had a slow start. She actually she's been coaching for exactly a year. It probably took her like 6 months to go senior coach. And once that happened, she just ran with it. Now she's been on a solid ED. She's actually going FIBIC this month in a year's time. So that's why I say it's okay if you start off slow, because we have seen this multiple times with coaches where they may take a while to get certain places, but once you get to a certain point, you're going to be like, okay, let's just go. And so at any point in your business, you can be like, let's go. It could be, if it takes you a year to get to senior coach. I mean, we've worked with coaches that it took them over a year to get to executive director. And now they've finally gotten that momentum, and now they're bringing on coaches, and that's the biggest, that next step that they're working towards. So I feel like there's really no such thing as a start. It's okay if you don't build to ED in like 20 days, like a lot of people do. That's just you could have a really good Facebook post and build to ED, honestly.
Yes.
So it doesn't take a lot. But it really just takes that momentum and like knowing what it is that you want. And if you want it, like once you make that shift that, hey, you know what, I want this, it's going to be really easy to achieve those goals.
Right, right. And what do you say to people? There's one really big objection I feel like a lot of people have, as I brought on a lot of new coaches, is like they think they need to know everything. Like they think, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that I know everything before I get on a call. And if they don't know everything, they're afraid that the client's going to see them any less. What do you think about that kind of objection where, brand new coaches think that way?
So a lot of coaches think that way. We work with a lot of coaches, even honestly, like when we're on meet and greets, that's what people are worried about. Like, I don't know everything. And I tell them, you know what, that's a good thing that you don't, because we are not experts here. We're just guides. We are just guiding them through what we know. And that's the program, right? That's the 5-in-1. That's all we are doing. Now, there are people who are going to have questions along the way, but that's what's great about having that team support. you're going to hear the same 10 questions from clients over and over again. So it's like once you hear it one time, you're going to now know it for the next time because you best believe someone else is going to ask you down the line. And so I tell everyone that's coming in when they feel like, man, I don't know anything, that's okay. Even when it comes to like the business opportunity or the business side of it, like you don't have to know everything. That's why your team is there for you, or your support team, because they're there to help guide you. That's why it's really important to transfer the skill, because that's what they're doing is they're going to transfer each skill one at a time to where you're going to get the concept right after they transfer that, right? Or after they teach that, so that now, moving forward, when you bring on a team, you now know how to teach that to your coach.
Right. That's awesome. And that's also something I tell people. I'm like, I've been doing this for like almost 5 years now, and I still don't know everything. Like I still go to coaches in my organization and I'm like, hey girl, I know you know this way more than me. Like what should I tell the client for this? Or, so it's true. Like we're more guides than anything else. We're not nutritionists. We're not holistic doctors or anything who should know everything. Okay. How do you deal with disappointments? Because I know that in the beginning, people get started and, people do 3 health assessments and then nobody signs up at that moment. And then it's like, I feel like it's so easy to deflate as a brand new coach because you think you're doing enough and then people are not signing up right when you think, and then you're not even talking to enough people, but you just get disappointed because maybe the first 2 or 3 you spoke to didn't do anything. How do you manage those disappointments?
Honestly, for myself, I feel like it's just mindset. Like I never got disappointed if someone said no. Like for me, it was like, okay, next, or if someone canceled their premiere order, it was like, well, who am I going to replace that person with? So it's going to happen. You're going to have people that aren't ready. It doesn't mean that people aren't ready forever. It just know that they're going to come eventually. Like I share the story a lot that there was in October, it was like maybe 2 years ago, that I did about 25 health assessments in a month. And out of those 25, only 6 of them were ready to go. And it wasn't all like that same day. It was like, oh, well, maybe a few like that same moment. And then maybe like 2 or 3 like the next week. But I just remember 17 of them were like, nah, that doesn't sound for me, or I'm not ready for this. So, okay, no big deal, right? What I did, I just continued to talk to more people. But I just kept in connection with those people. And it wasn't like, hey, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? It was literally what you hear. It's like I just continued to post on their Facebook, or I, comment on something, put myself in front of them. And I kid you not, in January, the second week of January, all 17 of them decided to join. So that is literally the power of just continuing to connect with people, because people are not going to be ready right away. It is very rare for people to really say yes right then and there. But it really is, who cares? Like I just say, like, on to the next. If they're not ready, someone else is, and I'm going to go look for that other person. People are going to come back maybe 2 years later. I've had someone that literally I had a health assessment with 3 years ago that just signed up this week. So it's a matter of when people are ready for it. You're going to probably find a lot that are not ready, but eventually they're going to come, as long as you just don't give up. So it really is mindset. I think that's what we teach a lot of people in our organization, is that if people aren't ready on a health assessment, okay, no big deal, on to the next, right? I love how Erica O says it best. She says, so what next if they're saying no? Like it's true, because there are how many millions of people in the US? If one person says no, go find the other millions of people that are going to say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right. It's really a mindset thing. Like people focus on that one person. I'm like, okay, so what? That person doesn't want to do it. Go find more people. Go share a story with more people, because more people are out there really looking for what we have. We just have to share it. That's the thing, right? I think that we focus on a little list we make of 20 names, and you're like, well, nobody in that list. Okay, make another list of 20 names and get out there and share your story. Man, I love that. So you're integrated presidential director. Obviously, there had to be some sort of shift in your mindset and in Josh's mindset to really get to the point where you started acquiring coaches left and right. And I remember you were like that already from senior coach. You guys were like bringing on coaches left and right. But then I remember you being stuck for a while. And then I remember we talked maybe a couple months ago when you hit Fivic, and you're just like, girl, it was like, it started rolling. And now I feel like you guys are like, just dropping Fivics left and right. Like, what is going on? What happened in your organization that the growth began to happen that way?
Gosh, it was a long time coming. Let me tell you, it was a lot of work to get to this point. It wasn't just like one day all of a sudden everyone woke up and we're like, all right, let's start, bringing on coaches, or let's have that shift. Honestly, it was a lot of work from the beginning. We were kind of we were rolling, we were doing great. Then we too got stuck. What we got comfortable is what it was at. Is we got comfortable when we reached presidential. And actually probably between global and presidential, we got really comfortable. Like, you know what, this is good. The income is good. You know, people are good. But then we started realizing that we were actually going backwards. Last July, I would say, you know, July's are always a funky month, but last July, you know, our business definitely went backwards. And we're talking in our group volume and our frontline volume. We're like, man, we need to not stop being so comfortable, right? But we started really, I would say it took us about a year, like, because last year is when we really started changing the way that we, you know, did map calls with coaches. We started being more involved levels down, and really started getting the sponsoring mindset shift in coaches.
Mm.
And, you know, really just every call is okay. Well, you know, you're mastering certain steps, right? There's different steps to this to coaching. There's different phases that you're going to learn. You know, there's right now. The first one is you're going to master bringing on clients. Then you're going to move on to mastering bringing on coaches. And it goes hand in hand with not just bringing on coaches, but making them go senior coach. Then you're going to master bringing on EDs and then FIBIC. So it really is going to go into, there's a circle behind it, right? There's a level of what you want to really master in the skill set of.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was, you know, coaches that were great on bringing on clients. Awesome. You've already mastered that skill. Let's now look for your coaches. That's the next skill set that you need to master. And so that's what they put their focus on. The energy flows where you put your focus on. And
Right.
so, you know what, that's what they shifted their focus from finding clients. Clients are always going to come, right? You're just supposed to, you know, continue to do your 3x3x3, message people, you know, and clients will come. But the skill set to really master is now bringing on coaches. That's where the growth comes. And so when we really shifted all of the calls, okay, well, now let's master bringing on coaches. Who are your next coaches? That's when that's when people started putting that focus there. They really started being more intentional of finding coaches. And so I would say, like, all of last year, we were like the highest of the entire organization. We were like bringing on like 11 coaches. We're like, oh my gosh, this is a good number. And then it got to like 12 and then 15, and then went back down to 10, and then went back down to 5, and then it went up to 15. And it was just like this roller coaster, up and down, and how many coaches we're bringing on.
As an organization, or you and Josh?
No, as an organization.
Mm-hmm.
But that also go hand in hand with your coaches will do what you're doing. If they see you bringing on coaches, guess what they're going to do? They're going to bring on coaches. If they see you bringing on clients, they're going to bring on clients. So it always put your oxygen mask first, right? You always have to do that before you go put it on everyone else. And so we had to do that in order for our team to see, hey, okay, if they do it, like, we've got to do it too. And so the really big shift, I think, happened it was honestly probably COVID time. And March is when I think everything, Josh and I remember, we're like, you know what, we're stuck indoors, you know, COVID's happening, we're on lockdown. We need to get uncomfortable because we are way too comfortable with where we're at. We need to just go for it. And we did. We literally sacrificed a lot of time. We sacrificed a lot of time with our son. I mean, he lived on iPads, which mom guilt, you know, as we all know, that's mom guilt right there. But we don't have a choice. Like, we're like, we have to really dig deep into our business. We have to really like grow. And so March is when it actually had happened. And I think what was really helpful is people really seeing, like, coaches seeing how much they were enjoying working from home and that they didn't want to go back. So a lot of coaches not go back to work, and now be able to build this full time. But that is actually the shift of what I think a year, I'd say like maybe 7-8 months. That whole shift of really like focus so deep on every coach, bringing on coaches, to where we went from only having like 15 coaches a month, 7 coaches a month, to now our organization's bringing on over 70 coaches a month.
Wow.
So it was a shift, but it took time, right? It was just constantly, you know, going to your coaches and being like, okay, well, that's not who's your next client. It's who's your next coach. Who in that, you've got a huge pool of clients right there. Who do you want to work with? Let's create that list. That is the biggest list that we want to create, is let's go see who's going to, and just start the conversation with them, right? You know, we look at a map, we have map data in. So we have our maps obviously in front of here. But this is what we focus with our coaches from. Obviously everyone should be doing a map. You know, obviously you've got your clients here, right? This is the area that we focus on the most, is who are your potential coaches. Because what we're going to do right here is we're going to start establishing relationships. You have to see which bucket they're in. Now, they may not be in the bucket where they're ready for a coach explore, but maybe they need a little bit more relationship with you, right? Maybe it's a little bit more of connecting with them, maybe going on a coffee date, virtual coffee date. Don't talk so much about the program with them, talk more about them and their life, and build that trust with them, because now you're going to move them into that bucket of like, okay, I've built that trust. They're doing amazing on plan. They've probably already referred me someone. Now I'm going to get really good at this is what you want to get really good at, is asking them to explore coaching. That is the only thing that you want to get good at, not bringing on coaches. Like eventually that will come, but you want to get really, really good at asking, hey, are you ready to explore coaching? I see you do the A, B, and Z. I think you'd be amazing. Just explore and see what that looks like. If it's not for you, no big deal, but you won't know until you explore that. So that's like the one thing that we tell people, like, get really good at that simple question is, are you ready to explore coaching? And I
Wow.
think that's really where the shift comes from. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It was a lot of work, but for us, like we got comfortable with where we were at and we're like, okay, we can't do this, And so in that month we brought on like over 40 clients. Obviously the incentive was helpful, but I think also too, it gave us a bigger pool of who are our next coaches.
Yeah.
And then when we bring on coaches, our biggest thing is we dream with them. That is the number one thing that we do. I don't care about all the logistics here and there. It's like, what do you want? Okay. And then people are always going to come in. Coaches are going to come in dreaming small.
That's what I was going to tell you. Yeah. So what do you do with that? Like because it's like, you can't dream for them. So when they come dreaming, I just want to make, $1,000. I just want to help people. What do you tell people? They tell you, I just want to help people. Like, how do you pull it out of them?
That's tough. It doesn't happen right away. You know what I mean? Like, I think when people just really want to help people, we kind of let them have that because we don't want to be like, well, no, but tell me how much money you want to make. Like we don't want to do that. So we're like, okay, you want to help people? Awesome. Love that. But then, once they get to senior coach, we have that senior coach celebration call. Well, now they kind of see what's possible. Now we really dig it out of them. Okay, well, what is it that you really want? If money was not an object, well, what would surprise you? What would be exciting for you to get in your bank account? And like, oh, like $500. Awesome. What would blow your mind? And if they're like, oh, like $1,000, like, oh, that's easy in this business. Like you can actually do that in a month if you wanted to. That's only helping, about 9, 10 clients. And they're just like, then their eyes kind of open up and they start to see, okay, well, maybe, and so it's really getting them to dream. That's the number one thing that we want to focus on with all new coaches is what is it that they want? Because if they don't know what they're working for, they're not really going to work, right? We don't want it to be another job to them. That's the one thing that we don't want is we don't want it to be like a job. Because some people already have those and they don't want a second one. And so we want to show, hey, this is fun, but this can honestly be the vehicle to give you a life of whatever it is that you're looking for.
Right, right. So when you bring on brand new coaches into your team, and obviously you do the Coach Explore, you do the meet and greet, what do you do, or how do you get them to really start like building that momentum ASAP? Because I feel like if you don't build momentum ASAP, they kind of like wither out. It's just like they just, as quickly as they came, they quickly go. So what do you do to build that momentum?
So it's posture. So the one thing that we posture is that, hey, the next 3 days, we're going to get all of these calls done. That is like the guideline is like the next 3 days, we're going to do these practice calls. And then the day 4, we're going to Facebook. And we do a Facebook 101 training so that they know exactly, we actually already scheduled that call so that it kind of gives them, not like the push, okay, I got to get these calls done. So I do take it to Facebook. And then we actually have that Facebook 101 training with them where we go through obviously crafting our story. We're going to put together our before and after picture, our before and progress picture. And then we're going to share how exactly we're going to comment back to people, how we're going to reply to likes, how we're going to basically do everything. We don't do the 3x3 training yet. Let's just focus on your launch. Okay. And then from there, a few days later, we get on another Facebook call, which is going to be everything about the 3x3x3. Once you take it to Facebook, that is where the growth really happens. In the meantime, though, what we do is during those 3 days that we're not taking it to Facebook, that we're doing these calls, we have them go start engaging on Facebook, go start adding a ton of people, go start engaging with people, go start switching that algorithm so that when in day 4, when you go and launch and when you go to your Facebook launch, you have more people in the last 3 days that you've been connecting with are now able to see your stuff. So it's all posture. If you have them do it early on, like, hey, the first step, we're getting these calls done. We have 3 days. So today is Monday. Let's go with those calls done by like Thursday. And then Friday, we're getting on a call and we're going to do Facebook 101 because we're going to go straight to Facebook. But you need to know what you're going to say. Obviously, you need to know how to run through a health assessment before. So it's posture. When it comes now, there's some people that still don't. Like you can only do what they're doing. But for the most part, the majority of coaches, they do. And, our goal is to have them see senior coach right away because that's their first win, right? Or their first one isn't senior coach. Their first one is really one client. Like we really celebrate the heck out of that. One client's amazing and it really helps them stay engaged to find more and more people.
Right. Okay. And then my next question to you in terms of, okay. So you said first you first get them into the call or whatever. You do like the calls first, you get them out of the way. So it's a posture of getting that. And then you get them to launch on social media. Okay. Now my next question to you is this. There are coaches who come in through the healthy finance door. They don't have weight loss, but they have a desire for more in their lives. And then they have, a desire to come home and help people. How would people like that posture on social media, or how would they share with people what they have found?
So that's honestly, it's less tricky than what people realize, because obviously what we do is, even if people are coming to us for the finances, they're still doing program, right? They still have expo. What we do is we encourage them, hey, you should still do this program for a week or two, experience this for your clients before we actually even take it to Facebook. We want them to still experience the program. And so they do, and they can share. I mean, there's no such thing as a small victory. Anything, even if they got energy off of it, most likely they still lost a few pounds. And so that's what they're also sharing, but sharing like, you know what, I know how amazing this program is. I've seen so many people do it and have success that I want to help people. So they're still sharing their story because they still have a story. Everyone's going to have a story, even if they come in through healthy finances. Is they still have a story. They're going to be on plan regardless, even if it's for a week or two, just to experience fat burn. Because if they're not experiencing fat burn, how are they going to coach a client? And we actually had a coach that, and this is probably not for everyone, but I mean, we had a coach that actually did not want to do the program at all. And they came in just to coach, and they didn't have a story to share. They didn't do very well, because they don't have a story to share. People aren't buying Optavia because of the name. Some are because they've heard of it, but they're buying it because of what you're excited about your story and what you kind of experienced through it.
Right. Wow, Michelle. Well, thanks so much for sharing all this. I know that there's a few coaches here that have had some questions for you. Those were all my questions for you, because I wanted to make sure we got down to some of the main things, especially for people that were not able to come on the call right now. But I'm going to open up the chat room, and if you have any questions at all for Michelle, she has a few minutes to stay with us still, because she's got a crazy day today. So I'm gonna go ahead and you guys can unmute yourselves. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask Michelle. Go ahead, Pete.
Hi. Thank you so much. Hi. Thank you for your time. Quick question. What about those new coaches coming on that don't really need to lose any weight? What do you tell people like that, as far as experiencing fat burn and stuff like that?
Well, fat burn isn't just about losing weight. Fat burn is also about gaining more energy, about better sleep. It's just how you feel. I feel like fat burn is really a side effect to what you feel. So even if they don't have weight to lose, they don't have to lose a single pound, but they are going to experience, the benefits of fat burn. They're going to experience the extra energy. They're going to experience completely feeling healthy and those side effects. So they don't have to lose a pound in order to feel anything. They will still feel the benefits of fat burn. And that's why, and I would say that's actually the feeling that what you share with those clients, right? You go through maybe the headaches, because most likely, I mean, even if they're eating healthy, they're still going to kind of go through some of a detox, right? The first few days. And they're going to experience some of the headaches. They're going to experience some of the hunger, because although they came into this not having to lose weight, their habits aren't 100% aligned with our habits, right? Of eating every 2 to 3 hours, of drinking water, of portion control. So they're still going to, even if not having a pound to lose, they will still absolutely experience the first few days, and they're still going to experience, the added side effects of feeling amazing, of having the energy, of sleeping better. So those are the things that they're still, regardless, going to experience without even having to lose a pound. You're welcome.
Oh, you're muted, P. That's awesome. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Kim? I'm looking at Kim right now because I know Kim has a question for Michelle. Does anybody else have any questions for Michelle?
I do have a question. So do you have I know that when we start coaches, we have the coach checklist. Do you follow the coach checklist that was provided by corporate, or do you as an organization have your own checklist? Do you, for example, I know that you have, because I stalk you sometimes, I know that you have your orientation video that you've done in the past. And I don't know if that's a normal thing that you do every month with your new coaches, or what is your checklist that you go through when you get new coaches, or your coaches get new coaches?
So The checklist is the same as everyone else's checklist. So we do have a checklist that we have obviously in our files in our coaching group that people go through, but it really is the same as everyone else's, right? You bring on a new coach or you bring on someone to do a coach explore. They sign up as a coach. Then obviously you do the meet and greet. From the meet and greet, you posture how we're going to get these calls done. We're going to go to Facebook. So it really is the same exact as everyone else's. We don't, use anything different because we know that the Optavia way works. So why we don't want to create something new, like reinventing the wheel, and then they get on a training with like Jamil and then they're hearing something completely different. And so that's the one thing that we emphasize why it's so important to literally go by exactly what everyone else is doing. Just because of that reason, I don't want them to go on a training and be like, wait, I wasn't taught that way, or on a Monday night training with Optavia and being trained something completely different when it comes to that. So the coach list, honestly, we don't use that list like personally, like check off, because obviously we kind of know the routine of things. But for all new coaches who are bringing on coaches or coaches that are new at bringing on coaches, that checklist is amazing to use because it really tells you step by step so that you don't miss a beat. Because remember, what you're doing is you're transferring a skill, right? Everything is duplication. So whatever you do with them is everything they're going to do with their coaches when they start bringing them on. Just like what we do with our clients, if we're missing things like celebration calls, which let me tell you, hands-on, that is one of the biggest ways to bring on coaches is celebration calls. If you aren't doing celebration calls, you are missing a tremendous opportunity to really help plant the seed of coaching, to share with them why that is their next step. And the way that Dr. A designed this program was those 2 phases. Let's reach optimal health. That's phase 1. And then phase 2, we're getting we're going to help you get those around you healthy because people will ask. And so we are posturing what coaching already is. And then we tell them too, like if I'm getting on a call, say with Priscilla and her coach, and we're obviously, I plant that seed. I'm sure she's already planted the seed of coaching, but now I'm kind of being that second layer and letting them know, hey, this is the way that this program works, is that A, you're getting healthy. B, we're going to help you help those around you because that really is that next step in your journey. It's going to help you with an incredible source of accountability, but it's also going to provide an extra income. It can help you pay for your food. It can help you do a heck of a lot more, whatever it is that you're looking to do. And then from there, we're like, Priscilla's going to send you an incredible video. It's going to be 13 minutes long because I know whether it's today, whether it's next week, maybe it's in a month, that coaching is that next step. So this video is going to share a little bit more about what coaching looks like so that when you are ready, you have an idea of what coaching looks like, and then we're going to get on a call and we're really going to explore that opportunity. But until then, I encourage you to really live your journey out loud. Go put a post on your Facebook. Something as simple as what you experienced this week. I'm on this new health journey. I'm down 8 pounds my first week. I feel amazing. Thanks, Priscilla, for introducing me to this program. Can't wait to see what happens next. And then what happens is when they post that, it's full circle, right? Now we're like, okay, people are asking what they're doing because everyone comes in with the concept like I did. I don't know people. I don't know anyone that wants to do this. So when we present coaching so soon, they're like, oh, I don't know anyone that wants to do this. But then they post on Facebook and they're like, oh, everyone wants to do this. Maybe I will think about coaching. So celebration calls, I feel like that is one of the biggest opportunities that we have to really bring on coaches. But it's not just week 1. It's also month 1. 1 month is huge because for week 1, people are still kind of experiencing. They maybe not see like a ton of, they're excited, but maybe they're not a believer yet, right? Maybe they're just, okay, well, I've lost some weight. I don't know about this coaching thing yet. But then a month happens and they're like maybe down 10, 20 pounds. And they're like, okay, now I feel like a completely different person in 4 weeks. You best believe they've got people noticing. Best believe they got people asking what they're doing. So our 1 month celebration calls, yes, we're celebrating them, but that is completely heavy focused on coaching and how coaching is that next step for them. So those 2 calls, let me tell you, if you haven't been doing those, you're missing a huge opportunity. Start doing those calls. That's when people started really, we were always kind of heavy focused on, hey, we got to do these celebration calls. We got to do these tip calls. But once coaches really started doing them, that's when they started to see a really big shift in their business.
So do you feel like it has a huge impact when on the first week they post on social media? Like, does that have a massive impact?
Yeah. So let me tell you. Okay. So sometime last year, I'm assuming many of you know Susie Heyman, Integrated Presidential. So she was out here. She's in Baltimore, but she was out here in California, and we went to dinner with her. And she actually gave us that tip. She said, hey, do you guys want something that's really going to blow up your business and bring on a lot of coaches? And we said, yeah. And she shared that with us. She shared with us her verbiage on that. And we're like, okay, let's just try it. Now, we didn't share with anyone, as far as we didn't share with, with Jamil or any of the other teams. We're like, well, we want to try it first before we share to see if it actually works. Well, that month alone, we went from bringing on 5 coaches to 17, or was it 15 coaches, 16 coaches. That was our highest jump from utilizing that message. So not everyone is going to message or everyone's going to post, right? And if people tell you know what, I'm not comfortable posting that yet on my page, then we can shift and be like, you know what, that's okay. Would you mind posting in the client support group? That it's a safe place, but just sharing can inspire someone else. So you kind of have like a, if someone says, no, it's not awkward, like that's okay, but do you mind posting here? So it kind of takes away the awkwardness of them saying no to you. But yeah, that was honestly a huge difference, because that's what happens is people start, I haven't seen a post where someone didn't ask, hey, what program are you doing? Or what are you doing? To see something like 8 pounds in a week is mind blowing to people. And so now they're like, wait, what are you doing? And so now that client who maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but maybe had that concept of, well, I don't know anyone, or I don't think anyone that I know is going to want to do this. I know I had that concept. And so I can only imagine how many others have that concept. Well, now they're seeing, well, like that person, like they're asking what it is that I'm doing. And so now that coach can circle back around and be like, hey, I know we talked a little bit about coaching, on your call, and people are starting to notice. I think it's time to explore what coaching looks like. And so at that point, they're like, okay, let's explore coaching. So it's definitely helpful when it comes to bringing on more coaches, when it comes to having the client see the possibility. And some clients will be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to coach. Cool. That's okay. Well, guess what? You just got some referrals. So honestly, it's a win-win situation, because every person, every client that you bring on is going to either, obviously be a coach alongside with you, or they're going to refer you a lot of people.
Do you let them know, like once they do put a feeler out there and they put something, do you let them know that they're gonna, that you're gonna reach out to their likes and loves, or do you do you tell them to reach out to them? How does that go down?
I tell them, if people are asking, don't say anything yet. I'll kind of help you when it comes to what we're going to say to them. But we won't say anything until I go back around and I go to them and be like, okay, are you ready to explore coaching? So we have not touched the likes or the comments at all until we actually circle back around and be like, hey, okay, you've got look how many people you have that are noticing, or people that are asking what it is that you're doing. I know we talked about how coaching is that next step. Maybe it's going to happen a heck of a lot sooner than you thought. Are you ready to explore what coaching can look like? Because you've already have people that seem like they're ready to go. And right. So then you explore it, and if they say, yeah, let's go ahead and explore it. Then, we get to those messages after that. Right. And if they said, no, you know what, I don't want to coach, that's okay. Would you mind putting us in a messenger with those people that are asking? For every person that says yes, you'll get a $25 credit on your account. And so they'll connect us in a messenger chat, and then I kind of just take it from there.
Nice. So what would you do with, this is personal, but I have a client who doesn't want to coach. She posted her journey, and she got like over 300 likes and loves on that thing. And she's referred me all the people that have commented on it. But what I feel like it's a waste to not reach out to those people. Do you just like, it is what it is because she doesn't want to coach? Or do you let her know that you want to offer you want to thank the people that have loved and liked her post? Like, how does that go down?
Well, when it comes to, I actually go and I friend request them is what I do first and foremost. I don't go, and I just start building connections with them. So I friend request them, I write their names down, and then start being intentional with them, because eventually they're going to like one a year before and after. And then that's when you can go and you can thank them, and so that's honestly, I feel like that's probably the best way than like going, okay, thanks so much for liking their picture. Like you can do that too. There's no right or wrong way. I just found that, I'm going to build a relationship with them rather than just thanking them for the like, because now I think there's going to be more trust developed as we're building the relationship outside of just thanking that person.
Nice. That's so smart. Okay. Well, I have a lot of work to do this morning after this call. Anybody else have any questions for Michelle?
I think before I could ask my question, you answered pretty much, to see what the difference is. Because I know in the trainings, everything you said is kind of what we already do. But what do you feel is the difference between like you bringing on so many coaches versus like us, with the speed that it's going to bring on like a few coaches even a month? It's not enough to grow a business substantial for everyone who wants to go global and above. So would you think when it comes to little details, it's the actually after celebrating the first week and just having them post online that has made a drastic like shift in your business, and like the kind of like the boost to bringing on so many coaches?
Yes, 100%. Posting that alone really helped the boost in how many. Now we do that all the way down, right? It doesn't just stop at us. Now our entire team does that, which is really bringing on a lot more coaches. So when it comes to us and going across, I mean, we're not super wide out, right? But we are pretty deep in our business. And that's where I think the shift really is for a lot of your coaches is you want to build down, right? The one thing that we have learned is you want to anchor everything with something else. So all of our EDs, we're now working on anchoring them down with EDs. The most of what, if you're looking at monetary and what, obviously the beauty of what this business brings when it's the financial freedom, is you want to get good at popping EDs. That is where the majority of your income is going to come from. Our ED generation bonus is more than half of our paycheck every single month. And so that is actually where we put our focus is growing EDs. And the way that you want to do that is you may have, say, 3 EDs. Well, we got to anchor EDs. It's not about going across EDs. It's about going down in EDs. Because the way that our business model works and our comp plan is that it's important to go both ways, right? Because when you go both ways, it's going to be able to pay you down even further. So say, for example, you are at a global business. Now you're getting paid 5 levels of EDs. But for example, if you're only at a regional business, you may go 6 or 7 layers down. If maybe you have an amazing one leg, right? Where your one leg has like 7 layers of EDs just going down, 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 down. But you're only a regional business. Well, you're only getting paid for 2 of those EDs. You're not getting paid all the way down. You're only getting paid for 2 of those. We have a coach we have a leg, our deepest leg, we have 6 levels of EDs in one leg. And we get paid off all those 6 EDs because of the level that we're at, right? At IPD, you get paid 6 levels down. But the first coach under us is only a regional. He only gets paid 2 levels down. He doesn't get paid down on probably $50,000 worth of frontline volume. He doesn't get paid on that. That's why it's really important to build out, not just build down, because you're going to go deep in businesses. There's going to be some layer or some legs that are deeper than others, but you want to be able to still build out. So it's like, posting, it's really what it is. Honestly, bringing on coaches yourself is just building a relationship with that client. And I know you hear this all the time, but it's true. We don't my relationship doesn't stop at just being them being a client. Like I'm messaging them outside of, their client check-in and just messaging me like, hey, how are you doing? Or messaging about their kids, something that I saw on Facebook. Like I have a client that I check in with on Fridays where we talk literally like 5 minutes about her, and this Fridays are my easier day. That's why I allow this. But 5 minutes is just on her week, like her success in her week. The other 35 minutes that I talk to her about is about life. It's about everything else, that we just start talking about kids, this. So it's really building the relationship outside of just them being a client. When you build that friendship, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier when that time comes to start exploring coaching. They're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, let's explore it, because they've already built that trust with you just through having a relationship outside of that. But Facebook, those comments, those are definitely really powerful. Personally, we tried it out for an entire month before we actually started sharing. We shared it to Jamil, we shared it to other groups, because we saw it really was successful, and we continue to do that, every day.
Wow.
I hope that answers it for you.
That's powerful. Wow. That's amazing. Well, ladies, we have a lot of work to do, and we know where we need to do our shifts and where we need to focus now our points. But I think that's our goal, to really get to that place where we just have that sponsoring mindset. And I've seen you transform your entire organization. So we needed to have you on. Anybody else have any last questions before we let Michelle go? I heard somebody unmute themselves.
They were all answered.
Okay.
They were very, very good questions. Yes, thank you so much. Yes.
For real, Michelle, thank you so much for spending some time with our team. It was so last minute, like literally last night around 9, I was like, you guys, Michelle Bomba is going to be with our team, because originally I told you it was going to be just a few of us. And it's like, I'm glad that many people were able to hear you. So thank you so much, Michelle, for your time. We so appreciate it. And